Thanks for listening and subscribing to the Clive Barker Podcast, episode 254. Jose, Ryan, and Marcus talk about Clive Barker and Hellraiser convention news, and is Transmutations coming to Blu-ray? We also discuss H.P. Lovecraft movies for our upcoming A to Z commentary, C is for Chaos, and you can weigh in too. Thanks. This is episode 254 of the Clive Barker Podcast. I didn't scroll down there for a second. And I'm Ryan.
And I'm Joe.
And I'm Marcus.
Hey, so good to have you back again, Marcus.
It's good to be back. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
We're trying to make this one a shorter episode because on our hosting site we only have 15.89 megabytes left for the month of March. So we'll see how it goes. If we go too long, we may end up having to push this one out a couple of weeks.
Okay, I think we should be fine. It's going to be a short news episode.
Yeah. But before we get into the news, I did want to mention I had a nice chat with the owner and publisher of Dark Regions Press on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it turns out he is a listener of our podcast, and I think that's why
that's awesome.
That's why they wanted to become a sponsor and contribute. So I was thinking about this, and and their website is really cool because they sell a whole bunch of Clive Barker books, both the ones that they publish and ones that they don't publish. So you can go on there and get, like, if there's any kinds of limited edition Clive Barker books that you might have missed out on, over the past 10 years or so, they've got a lot of them. So it's worth checking out. And I was thinking about this earlier today. They have the ones that they published, right? I think they did the Midnight Meat Train.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and did they do
the body book?
Oh, yeah, and the body book, right.
Yeah, they have I think they also had that German edition of The Infernal Parade and Tortured Souls. Like, they get a lot of different publicists that they do sell.
And they've sold some of the Imaginer books, which we're going to be talking about next time.
Yes.
So very cool. Yeah, in fact, we're going to be talking about Imaginer 4 and 5, and I saw on their website they had a bundle of 4 and 5, but I think it might be sold out.
And Dark Regions Press also sent out a email last month on February 25th, I think. They were announcing the Scarlet Gospels Ultra Deluxe. Did you guys get to see that one with the red cover and the gold leaf decorations?
No.
Oh, you should see that. I'll add that to the show notes as well.
Okay.
Cool.
Because they're still coming out with these ultra deluxe tray case, editions that take forever to come out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but there were only 26 lettered and a handful of private proof copies ever produced.
Wow.
And so they're now taking offers for that edition. We'll add that to the show notes. But this is from last month, so it's been almost a month ago. I just noticed the email, and I wanted to bring that into the show. Well,
and this is exclusive for us. They just let us know that due to that Dark Regions Press is going to be soon launching a Clive Barker mystery box due to the popularity of the Stephen King mystery box, which will include one limited edition hardcover, trade hardcovers, and other books, bookmarks, and other special items. So he says,
wonderful.
Designed by Clive Barker fans for Clive Barker fans.
Hey, that's for us.
Yes.
Yeah, and that'll be up on the darkregions.com website in the Clive Barker section on March 31st. And we're going to our banner will point right to the Clive Barker section. So if you go to our website, clivebarkercast.com, you can just click on that and that'll get you there. If you forgot that link, that's another way to get there.
Wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. It was nice to finally get to chat with them, and I'm excited about working with them for this year.
So Chris Morey, right, from Dark Regions Press?
Yeah.
That's wonderful to know. So what is in the what's in the box again? One limited edition hardcover.
Yeah, and trade hardcovers and other books, bookmarks, and other special items.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So since it's a mystery box, I guess you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah,
it's kind of like. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's a nice way that if you haven't bought any of the Dark Regions Press published Clive Barker titles, that it's a nice introduction to that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Loot Crate for Clive Barker fans.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the Screamin' mystery box.
They could include one of those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So thanks, Chris Morey. And go check out the show notes after this, and you'll find a link to the Dark Regions Clive Barker section. And there'll be more details there, especially on March 31st.
Yeah.
Well, and so in the news, our news from the Reef, mostly what we have is, kind of expected rescheduling of convention appearances, in conventions. Right. So Clive Barker was going to be at Texas Frightmare weekend along with David Cronenberg, right? And we had reported about that before because it's like the first time anyone had ever heard of that happening together.
Yeah.
But that Texas Frightmare weekend has been rescheduled to September 11th, 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, I know because I'm attending, and I know that they held out for a long time of just checking to see if this will kind of go away, or if the date will still hold. And they finally announced that they were going to push it to September, and there's a lot of things to arrange and set up, with so many guests and stuff. So it's not guaranteed that you're going to have all the guests available for that September slot. Yeah. And I know that Clive is one of the ones that is no longer confirmed. He's still pending attendance. Right. But David Cronenberg is confirmed.
Oh, is he really?
Clive's not. Yeah.
I'm surprised. I was wondering if maybe that wasn't going to happen anymore.
Yeah, I'm on the website right now, and Clive is still pending confirmation. Oh. And I know that Phil and Sarah also went on Twitter to specifically say that he hasn't been confirmed to be attending.
Okay. Well, it's this pesky coronavirus quarantine thing. It's fucking up everything.
It really is. It's a whole new world that we're living in. It's so strange.
Jeez, right? I mean, who'd have thought that in all the weird scenarios that you've seen in fantasy movies and Hollywood productions about pandemics, you see all these people running around in hazmat suits, and it's like, nope, it's just empty streets all over the place, and cops telling people, oh, you can only come into the city if you're a resident, otherwise you have to go back. And it's like, okay.
I know where I live, there's a 10 p.m. curfew.
Oh, jeez.
So you can't be out walking around. Yeah.
I went to Target the other day, and I walked into Target. It smells like a hospital in there. It's like they're just sanitizing everything. And
that's good to know, though.
It's the same at my work. We sanitize everything twice a day. So, 409 and wipies and all kinds of stuff, and it does smell like a hospital.
Yeah, and then I go to Walmart, and I see crusty, like leaky, weird, sticky shelves and stuff. Anyway, but
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's so weird, and I've been like staying in the house for extended periods of time, and it's kind of. I was posting on Facebook today that I just want to punch this virus and I want to punch this quarantine. I saw that. Just want to punch everything. Yeah. Because, you get tired. You're home for like 48 hours or whatever, and it's like you get tired of sitting at the computer. You just want to do something. You want to go somewhere. You want to be with your friends. You want to talk with your family. You want to be able to go places and go out for dinner instead of just going out for takeout and standing in a drive-through line. That's I don't know. It's very weird, but at least I've been dipping into these beautiful worlds that you see through the Imaginer volumes. So that's good.
It's nice escapism from the reality right now, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and another convention that got rescheduled was Monsterpolooza in California. So that got moved. You were probably going to go to that one, I'm guessing, Marcus?
No, well, because I had already purchased tickets for Texas Frightmare a long time ago, and it was the following weekend from Texas Frightmare. So I figured because I was already going one weekend before to Texas that I wasn't going to attend Monsterpolooza. But
even though it's closest, it's way closer to you than
yeah. Texas. Well, because I didn't know that Clive was going to attend there before, because like Texas Frightmare, you purchase tickets like 8-9 months in advance.
Oh, I know, and that hotel sells out in like 30 minutes. And
the VIP is gone in like 5 minutes. But
wow, yeah.
But I mean, if Clive doesn't go to Texas Frightmare and he does go to Monsterpolooza, I'll probably just bite the ticket price that I paid for Texas Frightmare just to attend Monsterpolooza instead, because it is closer and I would like to see Clive.
Well, you could probably still get refunded though, right? I imagine.
That was another thing, is that they were really iffy on giving refunds, because they were saying that if you can't attend for the new date, that they won't refund you your ticket, but they will give you a ticket to next year's convention instead. So, I mean, I guess I could probably swap it out for a ticket for next year if I do opt to not go this year.
Well, their announcement says on Facebook, it says, updated as of last night, that was March 16. All tickets have been refunded via Eventbrite. If you need further help with Eventbrite, please visit blah, blah, blah. There's like a support website. And then it says you should see the refund in your bank account within 7 to 10 business days. And Photo Ops was updated on March 16 again. It says all pro photo ops have been refunded through Wolf Studios Photography. You should see the refund in your bank account within 7 to 10 business days. And then about the hotel question, said, if I made a reservation at a hotel, can I get a refund? It says, please call the hotel you reserved with to make changes. Because some of them are not giving, refunds. And what about airlines?
It must be tough for them because they use the pre-order ticket money to set up the convention. So if everybody's getting refunds, it's going to be really hard to continue with the September one, I imagine. It's a delicate balancing act.
Have they said what guests are still going to be confirmed for the rescheduled time for Monsterpolooza?
So I'm looking at their Facebook page right now. It says, let's see. No, they still have like certain posts like from yesterday saying that
their website
Immortal Masks, Monsterpolooza's Virtual Palooza says you'll be able to see
their website
Artist Coast Artifact Studios. Yeah, they're not. I don't think there's anything here saying of any confirmed booked.
It seemed like all they said was they changed the date, on the website, of the convention, but they didn't. But the Facebook page is what has all their information and updates.
Yeah. Did you buy your ticket through Eventbrite or anything like that? Because it says here that all pre-purchased tickets to Monsterpolooza in May have been refunded through Eventbrite.
Oh no! Well, for Texas Frightmare, I'm not sure what I purchased it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but like I said, I know that they said that they're not really issuing refunds, but they'll just give you a ticket to next year's convention.
Yeah.
Well, Monsterpolooza did issue refunds for the tickets, apparently, so they're doing the right thing here. We'll see what happens with the Texas Frightmare weekend.
Yeah, when you go on their website for Monsterpolooza, when you click on the guest section, it's just blank. So they just must be trying to reconfigure everything and figure everything out.
Yeah. Well, keep your eyes peeled for that and check out their websites for Monsterpolooza and for Texas Frightmare weekend. And what's next? Let's see. From Dread Central, there's an article here from Dread Central, right, that says the Clive Barker almost directed Final Destination.
Yeah.
What?
Well,
that's a pretty crazy conceit. I
meant to read this article, but I wasn't very excited about it because there was that time in the early '90s when everybody asked Clive Barker to direct everything.
Yeah,
and like Alien 3, Godzilla 1998,
Creature from the Black Lagoon,
Alien 3,
The Mummy.
Yeah, so and he pretty much just turned down everything because he doesn't really deal with other people's properties.
Yeah.
And Final Destination is not like his kind of thing at all.
Yeah.
Well, it says here that Consequence of Sound, a website, reported they went to Clive Barker first, and he passed on it. So that's kind of a long shot between saying he almost directed Final Destination. Like someone asked him, "You want to do it?" He said, "I'll pass."
Yeah.
He's never directed a movie that he didn't write. So, I mean, everybody was pushing him to do that, but he always said no.
Yeah.
Yeah, the article is really based around just like one passing line of just that he passed on it.
Right.
So yes, it is a stretch because I'm sure, when you work in the industry, you do get pitched a lot of different things that you.
Sure. I'm sure people call other people all the time. That projects change so much, and sometimes they go for years and years, and they have different treatments, and they have different names attached to them, and it's like. I just want to say that also, unfortunately, we lost Stuart Gordon this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. At one point, he was tapped to direct Hellraiser Bloodline. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
wow.
And that didn't work out. Yeah. So, unfortunately, we lost Stuart Gordon, so I just wanted to bring this up to the news as well. And so sorry to hear that.
Because I love how Hellraiser Bloodline would have turned out.
Oh, wow. I guess we'll never know. But imagine Stuart Gordon adapting a script by Peter Atkins, and especially if it had been done properly, that could have been like an iconic movie of the 90s,
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It would have taken Hellraiser in a different direction.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, it seems like you kind of have to be a diehard Hellraiser fan at this point to like Hellraiser Bloodline.
Yeah. But, stuff that has been adapted from Clive Barker works, and some stuff that has been actually created just for the sake of making a movie, like Transmutations, is getting kind of a recent new treatment, right?
That's what George Pavlou said. So.
Yeah, director George Pavlou, who directed Rawhead Rex, has announced that work is in progress to restore the Clive Barker penned Underworld, a.k.a. Transmutations from 1985. So, wow, this was announced on Facebook from Dawn of the Discs. And that's interesting because so far the only stuff that exists is the Laserdisc transfer that was put on a DVD, right, Ryan?
Yeah, but he also has said in the past that there was interest in a Rawhead Rex remake.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So
I personally have never seen Transmutation, so I'm actually excited for the Blu-ray release. Yeah, I mean, like I'm not expecting it to be a good movie in any stretch of the imagination, but just being a Clive, completist, the fact that I've never seen it.
Okay,
I'm happy to get the Blu-ray.
That should be an interesting experience for you. I mean, I've seen it several times. And it kind of has like elements of like almost like Nightbreed, and it has elements of it kind of reminds me of like scenes like the Morlocks who live under the city. Yeah. And then there's a woman, there's a drug that gives people powers, and it's pretty interesting. And I think, what's the name of that guy who plays the villain in this? Burkhoff, I think that's the name of the actor. Yeah, he's great doing this, and they just have a protagonist who's kind of like a pretty bland guy. I mean, the protagonist could have been someone more charismatic, but he's a painter. The first time we see him, he's painting a canvas and stuff.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's kind of like a proto D'Amour, right? He's kind of like this guy who used to work for a mobster and stuff. But yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it. So apparently they're going to bring it back, possibly in Blu-ray. So that's always interesting because I like to know that some of these movies are making the leap into more recent formats and that they're being preserved. Even though I'll tell you, man, this one's kind of a turkey, but
it should have been bundled in with Rawhead Rex when they
the
Kino Lorber Rawhead Rex.
Yeah,
agreed.
But I mean, ever since this quarantine, the main thing that I've been doing is just watching Best of the Worst from Red Letter Media on YouTube, which is just where a couple guys sit around, they drink beer, and they just watch these terrible, trashy VHS movies. And so maybe when I purchase this, that's what I'll do. Is I always have some friends come over, we'll drink some beer, and just laugh at how absurd it is, and just have a good time that way.
And you can play our commentary track that we did.
Oh, yes.
Self-plug. Mm-hmm. We did do a commentary track. So we did commentary tracks for everything. So, Transmutations, a.k.a. Underworld, with Stephen Burkhoff, Miranda Richardson, and Larry Lamb. Coming soon, I guess, in Blu-ray. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for director George Pavlou's masterpiece.
There was one time where Clive Barker said they kept like 7 words of his original script.
Yeah.
I remember another quote he said was something like, the producers called him and said, now, was it the director? It was someone, I think it was the director that called him and said, you know what, they want to do some changes to the movie. They want to put some music in there and stuff. They want to do like a dance sequence. I'm just paraphrasing here. Probably not what they said.
Yeah, they wanted to make it more like a music video.
Okay, but...
No, I remember that too.
Yeah, I said, but this was like a horror movie. And it's like, yes, but I might have promised them like kind of more like a music opera or something. I was like, oh, God, what the hell's going on? Yeah. So
we laughed, but I'm sure it was really frustrating for Clive at the time.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Wasn't he locked off the set of Rawhead Rex at one point? Yeah.
They never invited him for something like that. Yeah. Actually, I got the Dark Fantastic here on my desk. So let me just, if you want to just wait a second, I can just look at it real quick and see if I can find some some stuff about this. But keep an eye out for Dawn of the Discs, and we can go into the next thing, and then I'll go back to this. But there's another convention, right? There's another convention announced today.
And also, I wanted to say thanks to Richard Rich. He tagged us in that article from Dawn of the Discs, so we got to kind of laugh about it on that Facebook page.
And he also tagged me into this ScareFest. So ScareFest announced that they're going to have Tony Todd, Nicholas Vince, and Barbie Wilde, and ScareFest is going to take place on October 23rd through the 25th. It's going to be in Lexington, Kentucky. So that's another convention. Oh, yeah. So if you want to, get a chance to get something signed or get a picture taken with Barbie Wilde, Nicholas Vince, and possibly Tony Todd, so that's the place to be, Lexington, Kentucky.
Yay. All right.
In October. Assuming by that time everything should be back to normal, I guess.
Well,
hopefully.
So that's the news. And the other thing, I wanted to apologize because like the past 3 or 4 episodes I've been saying C is for Chaos was going to be about H.R. Giger movies, and it's not. That's F is for Flesh. C is for Chaos is about Lovecraft movies. So, and in fact, in Clive Barker's A to Z of Horror, he only mentions one. There's a poster for the Dunwich Horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so I went online and found an alphabetical list of Lovecraft movies. This list is a little bit dubious, but because some of these I think are just inspired.
Inspired. A lot of they're very loose, if even adaptations. Yeah.
Ashley Lawrence was in a movie that was kind of loosely based on something.
Lurking Fear. And I actually
Yeah.
saw that one, and she was credited as Ashley Lauren without the CE in the end. So I don't know if she did that to distance herself from it, or if it screwed up.
Yeah, I remember watching that late at night on TV, and I flipped the channel, and I was like, "Hey, that's Ashley Lawrence from Hellraiser."
Yeah.
And it was this really bad movie.
It was,
and like you said, it was
not funny bad. It was like boring bad.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, I absolutely love Lovecraft, and just the fact that there aren't very many true to form Lovecraft movies. it's a pity. And Jose, you brought up Stuart Gordon's passing earlier. Yeah. I mean, you can't talk about Lovecraft movies without talking about Stuart Gordon, because he was the one that really took Lovecraft out of this almost niche, just underground kind of like cult figure, and really brought him into the mainstream. With Re-Animator and his other adaptations. I mean, Stuart Gordon, I think, was the only one that really made true to form Lovecraft adaptations.
Oh yeah, I agree with that completely. So I found some quotes here in the Dark Fantastic about Underworld.
Okay,
here we go.
And it says, Barker admits to his inexperience and innocence as a screenwriter. I had no sense whatsoever of the protocol, whether I had any rights in the process, none of that. At his first meeting with the producers, he was told that budgetary constraints would preclude any major makeup, costuming, or special effects, and that sex and violence should be toned down. Like, you're going to tell that to Clive Barker on a movie that he wrote? And seriously, I was told to avoid the stuff which soared in the finest way in Hellraiser, which is the stuff about sex and monsters and really dark, weird shit. They just didn't want to have anything to do with it. Later, one of the producers, Don Hawkins, said he thought Barker was essentially a pornographer.
Yeah, I remember that.
So the perfect people to produce a Clive Barker movie, right?
Yeah, who don't understand it at all, yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
Anyway, the movie's out there, will come out and Blu-ray, so it's always going to be that niche thing for Clive Barker fans to watch the what pushed Clive into the direction of directing his own movie and would eventually direct Hellraiser. So that's the only good thing about these movies.
Yeah.
And actually, I before this podcast, every time I tried to watch that movie, I'd fall asleep. But but the more we watched it for the podcast, the more it kind of grew on me, and I kind of was liking the synth score and stuff, even though it's kind of corny.
Right, yeah. I tried looking for the band that made that score, but I couldn't find it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But so back to C is for Chaos. We need to kind of have a consensus about what Lovecraft movie that we want to do an audio commentary for.
Yeah.
So I highlighted on this list the ones that I would consider, or that I that I was not that I would consider, but I mean the ones that I seemed interesting to me. Honestly, a lot of these I haven't seen. And I've heard really good things about Color Out of Space, but I think it's too soon to be doing that, I've
heard good things, too. I've heard that is probably, aside from Stuart Gordon's films, probably the only other Lovecraft adaptation that gets it right. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it yet, but I'd be interested in doing that. Personally
Same
speaking,
here.
For me, I'd personally lean more towards the Stuart Gordon films. Just not only because of his sad passing, but even before that, just Stuart Gordon for me he was the one who opened the doorway for me falling into the world of Lovecraft and Re-Animator, especially when I was a kid. We had a VHS copy of Re-Animator, and I'd never watched it as a kid, but I was absolutely terrified of the box cover art.
I was, and that's why I've still never seen the movie to this day.
Yeah, and so awesome. My older sister, any single time we had an argument or something, if she just wanted to make me shut up or just scare the bejesus out of me, she would pull out the box of that film and show it to me, and that enough was
with that giant needle on the cover of the box.
Yeah, it's and then you look on the back, the reverse of the VHS, and you just see this headless corpse holding his head, and it was pretty bloody images, and so when I got older and when I was in high school, I remember telling my friends oh, there's this movie Re-Animator that is terrifying, which I thought it was terrifying because I'd never actually seen it, and remember we went to Fry's Electronics and I bought it on DVD, And me and my friends watched it, and I realized that it was actually like a comedy, that it wasn't a straight up horror film. That has it has these very, very comedic elements. It's very...
God. The Re-Animator franchise goes deep into comedy the further you go, to the point where there's like a walking penis and like the third or fourth one. And
it's the third one, the Beyond Re-Animator. Yeah, that was a Sci-Fi Channel original movie, and it's absolutely bonkers. Yes, there's a resurrected animated penis that runs around in that.
It's so funny. I saw that not too long ago. So my vote would be either for Re-Animator, or if you really want something Stuart Gordon, and it's a kick to the gut, it's From Beyond. From Beyond is awesome.
Which is also great. That was his follow up to Re-Animator, and I mean From Beyond is only like a 6 to 8 page story. It's really, really short, and so. The film for the most part is its own thing. Mm-hmm. Like the opening of From Beyond is probably Lovecraft's original story, and all the rest is just kind of inspired by it.
Yeah, and Re-Animator was kind of this story that was published in parts, right? In very short parts.
Yeah, it was essentially an ongoing serial. And the ironic thing about Re-Animator is that the film is probably the best Lovecraft adaptation, but Re-Animator as a Lovecraft work was Lovecraft's personal least favorite. He actually pretty much hated it because it was a work for hire job that he just kind of did for money, and so you can kind of see his anger and cynicism towards writing it in the writing. But
sure,
yeah.
I still want to see someone come up with, an adaptation of, I know the title. No, that one too.
I mean, the Guillermo del Toro one, At the Mountain. Yeah, I don't know if you've read that script, but it's amazing.
It's one of his first novels. I know the name in Portuguese. I'm trying to remember the name in English. It's the one where it takes place in. The Kadath, the Dream City, and then there's cats that fly to the moon, and there's what's the name of that? Shucks, is it Beyond the Wall of Sleep, or no? That's the story, right?
Well, there's I know the Silver Key ties into that of what you're talking about.
Right. Again, I'm not English is a second language to me, so I read this first in Portuguese. So I think it's. It opens up with the statement of Randolph Carter, and anyway, keep talking, and I'll figure it out.
now I'm on a mission too.
Well, so I'm really interested in both Re-Animator and From Beyond because I know they're classic horror movies that I haven't seen, and they get talked about a lot. So I'd be interested in those. I highlighted The Void because I liked that movie. But I don't. Yeah, it's not an adaptation of anything.
No, it has nothing to do with Lovecraft. No. Yeah, I mean, like other good adaptations, and they're all Stuart Gordon films. Another good one is Dagon.
Sure, another Stuart Gordon one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so Dagon 2 is another like 6-page story, and so most of it is actually Lovecraft's The Shadow over Innsmouth. It's not really Dagon. It's kind of like a combination. And then another really wonderful Stuart Gordon Lovecraft film is Castle Freak, which, again, is like the 6-page story.
I didn't see.
I think I have seen that.
Yeah, all of them have Jeffrey Combs, too, which is also wonderful.
So between From Beyond and Re-Animator, what would you guys say?
Oof, that's a hard choice. Do you want to laugh it up or do you want to be scared? Because that's, they both kind of scare you in a way, but there's more yucks to be had in Re-Animator. Yeah,
From Beyond is far more a bonkers film. It's because Stuart Gordon was actually given a budget, and so you can see him having that happy freedom of having money to just throw on the screen with these crazy effects.
Wow.
I want to say Re-Animator because that's so wild, too. And I have so many good memories of Re-Animator and the entire franchise. I would go with Re-Animator, but we need feedback on this. Give us feedback, guys. Go on.
Maybe we should do a poll of put like 2 or 3 and have people choose.
Sure. How about, we put up like From Beyond, Re-Animator, and Bride of Re-Animator.
Well, I don't want to do a sequel.
Okay.
Oh, maybe.
You did Exorcist 3. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I saw Exorcist 1 and 2 first.
True. Still a sequel. But okay, let's do Stuart Gordon then. Let's do Re-Animator, From Beyond, or Dagon.
Okay.
How's that?
All right.
Okay. And if anyone is curious, there's also a really, really wonderful Lovecraft documentary that you can watch on YouTube. It's like an hour and a half long. It's a feature length, but it's called Lovecraft: Fear of the Unknown. So if you want to learn more about Lovecraft, it has Neil Gaiman and John Carpenter and Guillermo del Toro. And
I think I've seen that one before.
Yeah, it's great.
And the novella I was talking about earlier was The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That was the first book I've ever read of H.P. Lovecraft, and it would be crazy to adapt this thing into a movie. I mean, it's just insane. There's so many weird things that go on in this. There's like a dream city, and there's like cats that fly to the moon, and there's all weird tentacle creatures that live in the darkness and have long slimy tentacles, and it's just crazy. Yeah, if you
read that one.
The other 2 stories that I was talking about that tied into that were the Silver Key and Through the Gates of the Silver Key. That's why that popped in my mind when you said that.
Yeah. And just that statement of Randolph Carter, like when the guy goes into the tomb and then there's a phone and then the guy's talking to the guy who's going into the tomb and then all of a sudden he's like, oh my God, if you could see what I see. And then it's just, I was reading that the first time. I was like, wow, this is pretty scary. And then it's like when he hears the gurgling voice saying, he's dead. And it's like, oh my God. And it's really scary.
If you want more of that style of cosmic supernatural fiction, check out Clark Ashton Smith, because he writes a lot of his stories are very similar in that vein too.
Mm-hmm. Did you say Clark Ashton Smith?
Yeah, Clark Ashton Smith.
Yeah. Was he the one who wrote the story about the flower that invades a guy's body and grows out of his skull? Yes, he was. Yeah, okay, yeah, I've read that stuff too. Good stuff. I think I got into it when I was reading H.P. Lovecraft as well. Yeah, because they were correspondents and stuff, and they were all part of the same circle. Of course, Clark Ashton Smith actually lived like 20 minutes from where I live, so he was on the West Coast and Lovecraft was on the East Coast. So I don't think they ever actually met in person, but they were correspondences, and they would share characters and names of cities and things like that. Very cool. Yeah, so if anyone wants to, venture outside of Lovecraft, Clark Ashton Smith was the first writer I've read in a long time that blew my mind. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of, writers that share the same DNA, and especially around Lovecraft, a lot of people ended up creating kind of like this collective mythos. Especially with the mythology around Cthulhu and that Cthulhu mythos and stuff like that. Yeah, the Dunwich horror and stuff like that. Yeah, so that became almost collaborative, and it went on until today. There's people still making stories in that vein and using that sort of. There was a movie that some guys made. It was made in black and white, and it was made recently. Cthulhu? Yeah, The Call of Cthulhu. Thank you. Yeah, that's a really cool little movie. I saw that a few years ago. Yeah, I recommend that one, The Call of Cthulhu. Yeah, that was made by legitimate Lovecraft fans. Yeah. But I mean, there's even that there was a movie that came out, I think it was January, called Underwater or something like that with Kristen Stewart. Oh. But I don't want to spoil it, but apparently there's a strong tie to Lovecraft as well in that film at the end. Okay.
And then there's the John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness, which is inspired by, but not a direct, not an adaptation of anything.
Oh, it's definitely like Sam Neill plays the Stephen King Lovecraft hybrid of a character.
Yeah. Have you ever read Sutter Kane?
That always bugged me. It's like nobody ever says, "Do you read, a person?" You read books. You don't read people. I mean. Unless they're a book of blood.
Well, I read Clive Barker, so there.
That always irks me when people use a phrase like they're trying to make it popular, or trying to, like in Little Nicky when he called Ozzy Osbourne the Blizzard. Like, nobody calls him the Blizzard. You just made that up. You're just like executives trying to sound cool.
Is that the Adam Sandler movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yes, that's an older reference.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Well, anyway, so that was the news. And don't forget about Dark Regions Press, March 31st. Go to their website and check out their mystery box for Clive Barker fans.
Yeah.
Those were the updates about the conventions. And if you're living around Lexington, Kentucky, hopefully this ScareFest on October 23rd through the 25th probably won't get affected by the whole coronavirus quarantine thing. So that's probably a safe bet on buying tickets for that and booking a hotel.
Unless life gets really, really bad. I mean, oh my God. But yeah. Well, for us, coming up next, we have we're going to be talking about Imaginer 3 and 4. And then for C is for Chaos and the A to Z commentaries, we've now narrowed it down to three movies that we might do an audio commentary of, Dagon or From Beyond or Re-Animator. So you guys are going to help us decide on that one. And then Abarat 3, we're also trying something that we're aiming for, something that we're not going to talk about yet because, we don't know if it's going to come true or not. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to all of that stuff. It's always good talking to you guys.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And
absolutely.
This podcast having no beginning will have no end. You can find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com. We've got an archive of past episodes, news, features, and reviews, along with all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on every other place you can find podcasts. Share your thoughts with us, and share our podcast with your friends. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial podcast and news blog that's not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.